Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 53rd edition of Alabama Crimson Tide Live from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, Coach Smook and Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, as will be going over our take on a Wisconsin matchup coming up this Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time, noon p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. And we'll be going over some news updates on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, we will be having a special guest named Ryan Herrings from Locked On Badgers for the second straight year. How about that? How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And before we get to the topics at hand, we've got the merch from Alabama with the Voice College Football, the hats, the t-shirts, the polo shirts, the tumbler cups, the game day mugs, all of it, all right here. Love for you to come get something. It's all right there. Tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that this merch store is creating. Coach, Jeffrey, what's the best item on here? What do y'all think?
Going with the dad caps, man. Going with the dad caps. I'm rocking with the dad caps, bro. And I think the camo for me.
I probably have to say I like the hat too. I think the hat's really good.
Yeah, definitely with the camo rocking
or the tumbler.
Oh, there you go. Well, I mean, we know somebody that's rocking with the tumbler cup. I can tell you right now. I know I'm tempted. I mean, it's not Christmas yet, but it's never too early to do a little early Christmas shopping, you know.
Hey, we're getting close, man. It's already September. September.
Well, I mean, Walmart tends to get ahead, but we're starting to get a little ahead before they do. So that's just how we roll here at the Voice. Yes, sir.
Well, fellas, tonight, man, going to kind of dive into the show. We're going to just kind of digest Alabama ULM game. I think we've had enough time to kind of go back. I know I've finally got done watching the film, man, and there's some things that I saw that I was very happy to see that we're starting to see emerge from this team, both from a coaching standpoint, but most of all from just an energy player standpoint. So as we talk about it, as we get into it, real quick, final thoughts when it comes to the overall defensive performance. Now that we're 2 days into we're into day one of Wisconsin prep, but we've had 48 hours to really digest the Alabama ULM game, and the type of showing that we saw from the defense, I think really needs to be a topic of discussion, because schematically we didn't see anything different, just all different efforts. So Jeffrey, what's your thoughts, man? And then we're going to get ready to transition into this Wisconsin game. I'm ready to talk about Wisconsin. I think it's going to be interesting.
Let's go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, I think everything you said is spot on, Coach Smook, about the defense. Not a lot of schematic changes. You just saw effort. That's clearly what Alabama needed after that disastrous performance against Florida State. The effort was terrible. I feel like if our effort improves throughout the season, we're going to have a good defense because the talent is there. The coaching staff is there. Womack can call a defense. He's not a bad defensive coordinator. He was really good at Indiana. He can coach a defense. We've got great coaches overall, and the players are some of the best in the country. And against UL Monroe, vastly inferior team, but they performed at a high level. They gave effort. They did everything they were supposed to do that they did not do against Florida State. And if that continues the rest of the season, then we'll be in great shape on that side of the ball. I was very impressed just throughout the entire game, how hard they played. Even when the game was way out of reach, they still played hard.
And I think that was the main thing that we wanted to see, like you said, just effort overall from the defense. Makes a total different showing, gives you a total different product as far as what your defense is capable of doing and what you want to see as far as play calling. I was on the side that I would like to see us be a lot more aggressive, especially in our fronts, and a lot of the stunts, get more 5-man pressures, put a lot more on the secondary to be in phase more, let them use that natural athleticism, put them in, a lot of man zero press type opportunities, because honestly, that's where they thrive at. When they're in those assignments where it's, we didn't see them struggle against Florida State as far as box in there, man, and a lot of our too high concepts last week. A lot of issues we saw were just play breakdowns, guys losing track of guys in extra space. And that's things that you can kind of live with. You want your front to be a little bit more effective in the pass rush and secure tackles. And we saw a lot more pressure. We saw the pocket collapsing a lot more this week. No sacks, but you look at the pressure that created the turnover. And that's the type of pressure you want to see. When the average time to from snap to throw for their offense is 2.1, you're not going to see many sacks in a game like that. You're going to see they're trying to get the ball out fast, and most teams are going to try to nullify our defensive front like that. And so to see them be effective in other ways, getting their hands up, being disruptive in the run game, causing tackles for losses in the run game with just your front four, that was positive stuff to see. So continue to grow from that. Jackson, what do you think about the offense? We're going to switch to the offense, man, and 73 points in a game against another collegiate program. Talk to me, Jackson.
Oh man, like I was impressed with how Ty Simpson played in that game. I mean, 17 of 17 completed passes. It's like I said Saturday night. That stuff you only see in NCAA football 26 when you're playing it on your PS5. You don't see that in real life. And when you do, it's magnificent. And it makes me feel pretty good about where things are going for Saturday and the weeks to come for the 2025 season. And the fact that we utilized our running game, 212 total rushing yards from our running backs combined. That was amazing right there. If we can utilize our running game more throughout the season, we will be in the playoffs if we can do that. If we don't utilize our running game, then we're up for some bad days at home or on the road.
I think you said something that was key, the run game being utilized. If you look at the total carries for the team, that was 36 carries. The target number, me and Jeffrey was talking about this last week, the target number that you want to see for this to be a healthy, balanced type of offense is right there at 30, 35 is what you want to see Ryan Grubb call for this offense. Jackson, can you remove that banner for me? But if you look at it, you take away the outside the running back carries and you add them up, that's 30 total carries out of the 36 carries that we saw. And if you were to average all those yards per carry out, your average is going to be right at the 5.4, 5.6 clip. You know, you take away the one run, the 150-yard run by AK Deer, and you still can have an average of 4.3. I think it came out to be when I was doing my calculations. But that's the quality type of run attack that you want to be able to see, no matter who you playing against. When you can stick around that average yards per carry with all your backs, that you put on the field, that shows you that you got quality execution up in your offensive line. Well, guys are really seeing the holes in there, being decisive in the run. It's something that I think Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill did very well. Jeffrey, thoughts on the offense, and then we're going to grade out this game, and then we'll get Ryan in here in the next 2 minutes. Ryan, get ready, man. I know you're ready for this kickoff this weekend, bro. So get ready, man. We about to bring you on. Jeffrey, final thoughts on the offense, and then we're going to grade out this team, man.
Absolutely. I mean, as Jackson said, Ty Simpson, 17 of 17. Again, it can't be over or understated. I mean, it is a big deal. You don't want to overstate it because it doesn't mean Ty Simpson is not, like he's the best quarterback in the country now. He's one of the best in the, whatever, not all that. He's not there yet. He's got a lot more growing to do, but it doesn't need to just be thrown away either. It was a very impressive performance by him against UL Monroe, not a very good team, but it was very impressive. He did his job. I don't think anybody was expecting him to go 17 for 17. So that was great by him. And like Jackson said, if we're going to be a playoff contender, got to be able to run the ball. We're not still running the ball as good as I would like us to, even with that performance. I think we could have easily put up 300-plus yards on the ground against UL Monroe. But it was better. It was an improvement. But I still want to see it against better competition, that we are going to at least commit to the run. And when we do run, that we're going to have success. Because I'm afraid if we don't have immediate success against a better team, that they'll just abandon the run and just try to pass every down. You don't want to see that. So I was impressed with the run. Could have been even better, but it was good. I like the fact we have a ton of guys that can run the ball well. And I thought that all three of our quarterbacks looked good. So that's a great sign that even if Ty Simpson, God forbid he gets hurt or, anything happens, we got other guys that could fill in for him. You just look at it, oh, well, if Simpson struggles, he can get replaced. Well, injuries can happen. So you never want to have a thin quarterback room. I like our quarterback room. Receivers were great. Effort was better on offense too. We talk about defensive effort, but the offensive effort, they were striving to get big plays, and it was a great effort overall.
100%, man. 100%. I think right now, what I will say about this, when it comes to the rotation and how everything was utilized, a lot of people looked at Austin Mack going out first as that's the pecking order. Don't be confused, guys. I keep telling y'all, we said this week 1 against Florida State. When you saw Richard Young lead the game off, and then you immediately saw Kevin Riley come in the rotation, I knew that this staff had an idea, and I want you all to come to this concept and really accept the fact that this is not depth chart style football you're going to see at Alabama no more. This is really situational. You have so many assets available. You have specialists, guys that specialize at, let's say for the wide receiver room. If we want a lot of vertical threats, you're going to see a certain 4 or 5 group of 5 guys that's going to get a certain amount of reps. They're going to get way more reps and going to get more targets because that's the game plan. But you see guys that are effective in reading zone coverage, right? You're going to see those personnel groupings get a highlight for the game. So being able to be that versatile in our personnel usage is going to be key as far as developing, especially in a game this weekend like against Wisconsin, a team that's going to be physical. I think this is going to be one of the more physical tests that we see before we get into conference play. Florida State ended up being a very good physical matchup. I'm glad that we're seeing quality opponents that are physical because UL Monroe, even though they were smaller, they were definitely physical on their defensive side as far as creating like big hits and coming downhill trying to stop the run game and stuff. So I think overall though, production wise, this was a productive game. Let's grade it out real quick and then let's get to our segment with our guests tapping in. Let's talk about this Wisconsin game.
Yeah, like for me, it was an A against Louisiana Monroe. Like it was an A for me. That's my grade for them.
100%. What's up, Jeffy? What's your grade?
Absolutely an A. I mean, I would go A+, but I mean, it's really hard to give a team an A+ against UL Monroe. I mean, they played how they're supposed to play. So I'll go an A. But yeah, I mean, it's either A or A+. But like I said, A because of the opponent, but very impressive. I mean, they did everything that they were supposed to do to answer questions on that we had after week 1. I mean, it's not that the team's perfect or anything, but we feel a lot better now than we did then. So,
oh man,
for sure. So now, with that being said, y'all,
before we get to our guest, we've got some bets we have to make, but it involves the doppelganger of Mark Rogers and company. Oof. And what was the under radar pits the week from Steve Merrill? Tune in.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
100%, man. Let's go. Listen, y'all get your bets in, get your picks in. This week was crazy. I think we did pick'ems over there on my network, man, and Ohio did it. They didn't bust my bracket. I think it was the what game was it? I got to go back and look, but I had one that I was. Oh, it wasn't Michigan, Oklahoma either. I knew that one could go either way. It was the Troy Clemson game. I went on the. Oh man, I went on the over. Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh boy. So I was hoping that pull that one off. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all tap in with that. Anything else? We got a guest in the back. He looked like he ready to get it in.
oh,
All right,
man, let's bring him on.
Go ahead,
I'm
Jackson.
ready for
Bring him on.
Ron.
Introduce our guest, man.
Here we go. Here is Ryan Herrings from Locked On Badgers. Let's
Y'all give it up.
go.
Let's give. What up, Ryan? How you feeling, man?
Man, better than I deserve. I get to talk football with y'all. Let's go. Can't wait for this Saturday already.
Hey, I'm excited to have you here, man. We don't get a chance. Well, I don't get a chance to interact with many Wisconsin fans, so that's a perk of being a part of this whole network, Voice of College Football, getting the chance to tap in with some Locked On guys, man. So for everybody that doesn't know who this is, Ryan, let everybody know who you are and where they can find your content before we get into our discussion tonight, brother.
Yeah, no, really appreciate that. Locked On Badgers, YouTube. You find that on audio platforms, wherever you want to get that. It's really available everywhere. On Twitter at Ryan and Bucky, talking Big Ten basketball, football, Badgers, and occasionally some IPAs and some brats as well. So it's all there. And I'm, again, excited to be here to talk with y'all.
100%, man. Glad to have you along for the show tonight, man. Let's see if we can get another layout. I'm gonna get another layout created. But first things first, give us a rundown because we being in the Southeast, we don't get to follow much of what's happening in Wisconsin on a close scale. Coming into 2025, what were the expectations for Wisconsin Badger football? And then after three weeks officially, but 2 weeks of gameplay, I think you all had. What do you see this team right now coming into this week 3 matchup against the University of Alabama?
Yeah, so coming into this year, coming off a 5-win season last year, obviously Coach Fickell was brought in to elevate the program, and that's one of the worst seasons from a record standpoint Wisconsin's had in 20 years. Missed a bowl game for the first time in 20 plus years. Wisconsin has been one of the most consistent programs in college football. Certainly not the ceiling of what Alabama's done, but they've always won 6, 7, 8, 9 games. So coming in this year, it was about getting back to Wisconsin football, run the ball, be a little more physical, play offense that makes sense and looks like Wisconsin. And then on defense, be a little more disruptive. This was not a defense last year that was very disruptive, that got after the quarterback. They've changed some of those things this year already. So 2 games in, the Badgers are on pace to be a pretty disruptive defense. They added to the front 7 in the portal. Now, much like last year, if you all remember, Bama came up to Wisconsin. By the way, let me say, I had Wisconsin Badger fans tell me that they had an incredible time interacting with Bama fans. So hat tip to y'all. They love the interactions.
Hey, listen, we had plenty of Bama fans just bragging about the hospitality going up there last year. I tell you, and I think there was a matchup. I want to say early 2010-ish, 12, something like that, Wisconsin, Bama. But we've never had bad interaction.
2015, we played out Wisconsin to start off the Paul Chryst era for Wisconsin, and it was the national title season for Alabama.
Yeah.
And, we play each other in 1928, the year before the Great Depression started.
Not a long history. So Badger fans were pretty excited to interact with Bama fans, which I thought was really cool. These out-of-conference matchups are really fun in a lot of ways because you get these fan bases from a great program like Bama getting to come to Camp Randall. And I know Badger fans are excited to go down to Bryant-Denny. But, for another year, like last year, the Badgers lost their starting quarterback. They've lost their starting quarterback again this year. So we're already on quarterback number 2. It feels like every season this happens to the Badgers, but they did do a better job this offseason insulating the quarterback spot for injury. So Danny O'Neal's the Badgers quarterback. That's who you're going to see come down to Bryant-Denny. They haven't officially said Billy Edwards isn't going to play. He's the starting quarterback for the Badgers that's hurt, but it looks like Danny O'Neal's going to be the guy. He's pretty mobile. And if you kind of look at what week 1, a little bit of what Florida State was able to give Alabama a little bit of trouble with was a mobile quarterback, a guy who can move the pocket. Daniel O'Neal for the Badgers will do a little bit of that. He uses his legs. He gets out of the pocket. He runs a little recklessly. He's not a big guy, and he's going to have to be careful playing against a Bama defense that has athletes that he gets down and he slides when appropriate. But he's a fun quarterback, pretty accurate. Last week, 23 of 27, a couple touchdowns, moved the ball pretty well. So, the Badgers have struggled on the offensive line this year, but the defense looks better, and they're feeling pretty good about the quarterback spot considering they lost their starter.
That's good to hear, because I always see that as a Bama fan, regardless of who the opponent is, I want to see my team tested in areas where I've seen a struggle with. And we talked on this panel last week about our inside linebacker play, and having to deal with another quarterback that's confident in his mobile abilities is going to help us continue to get better, and really to see if this system that Kane Womack has brought in, a new system, as far as schematically how things are fit or how we play assignments, especially in the run game. It's a new style, and I think Wisconsin is going to give us enough reps of that, to allow us to see if we're really improving. So let's get into the breakdown of things. And if you all, once again, if you haven't followed Ryan, make sure y'all go follow him. That was a very informative side of things, because I didn't even see that their guys, that they lost their starting quarterback. What's up, Jackson?
Yeah, I was going to say, follow Ryan Herrings at Ryan and Bucky on @/Twitter, where you can get your top-notch Wisconsin expertise.
100%, man. And so let's kind of get into some of the matchups and things that we're looking forward to. Jeffrey, when you look at the fronts, and we know that the game usually starts in the trenches for most teams, and I think Wisconsin really wants to try to keep it there, on both sides of the ball. They want to try to keep Bama on the ground, and then I think the same for Alabama. They would like to keep Wisconsin on the ground. Being able to add a lot of assets. We saw Bray Hubbard playing in the box this past weekend. Looking at the trenches, though, where do you see the advantage or the disadvantages for either side of the ball, Jeffrey?
Well, I think Wisconsin at large, I'd like to talk that really quick before I get to that. When you look at Wisconsin, they're a program that, to me, was so consistently good because of the West. They were in the West, and it fit that brand of football. And then now that things have changed, college football is trending in a different direction, and it's more of a passing-oriented style versus run-oriented. And the West is gone. Wisconsin's playing a tough schedule like everyone else. They've struggled. Iowa's figuring that out. Wisconsin, Minnesota, those type of programs are struggling. Wisconsin is a proud program and has a lot of success in the past, but they're in a transition period of trying to figure out where they're at right now and how they're going to navigate. So when I look at this year's team, Wisconsin's still trying to figure out whether they're going to be a pass-oriented team or a run-oriented team. They've got, as you mentioned, Ryan, Danny O'Neal now, the backup quarterback, who does offer a lot, more so than Tyler Van Dyke last year, who I think would have given Wisconsin a better season if he hadn't have gotten hurt. I agree with that. But still, Wisconsin was stuck in a gray area because he was a passing quarterback, and they did not have a lot of weapons. They just did not. They still don't. But now you've got Danny O'Neal that kind of gives you that, being able to run. Billy Edwards did too. He can do both, but he got hurt. But Danny O'Neal is very capable. But Alabama, even though we have been giving up more to running quarterbacks, I don't know if Danny O'Neal is as dynamic as some of the guys that have given us trouble in the past. So if we can just not allow him to do what Jackson Arnold did last year, where he ran for over 100 yards on us, I think we'll be okay. I want Wisconsin to run the ball because of the fact that if they try to run up the middle, our D line's probably going to be fine as long as we're playing with effort. It's more so if Wisconsin tries to mix it up, run to the outside, reverses, like Florida State did. Gus Malzahn mixed that up a lot. If Wisconsin gets vanilla with it, we'll be fine in that regard. If Wisconsin cannot stretch the field at all in the passing game, it is going to be very hard for them, because even Florida State with Castellanos was able to throw the ball on us, even though they were running more. So Wisconsin's going to have to throw in the game. They can't just run. I know that, for Alabama on that side of the ball, I think Wisconsin can give us some pressure because they do have some good defenders. I do think that we'll be able to mostly withstand that. Our O-line isn't still perfect, but if they do a good enough job, I think that as long as we can run decently enough, if we can run the ball 25, 30 times and have like 4 yards of carry, 3.5, 4 yards of carry, that will be enough for our offense to be fine, because we got the passing game with Horton and whether Williams is back or not. and Bernard, et cetera, to be fine there. But yeah, Wisconsin, I mean, they're a better team, I think, this year. They look good. They're going to give us some issues. I mean, they would have been better last year and given us a more competitive game if Tyler Van Dyke didn't get hurt. But yeah, Wisconsin's just kind of stuck as a program. They're trying to figure it out, and I hope Fickle gets the time to do it.
Pretty good take. So when I look at this, Ryan, when I look at the matchup, I think where the chances are to make this a game is definitely in the trenches. You look at the depth at Wisconsin. They've always, like Jeff was saying, they've prided themselves on being physical up front, being able to stay with the run game and stop the run game defensively. So I look at your front, man. You got a lot of veteran presence there, and we've seen veteran presence be a thing that this offensive line has struggled with under Kalen DeBoer and this new staff and the system. They've struggled with veteran defensive lines. You've seen the defensive line on our defensive side struggle with veteran offensive lines. And that's the thing that you got going for yourself coming into this game. I know you don't have your preferred quarterback starting, but when you can slow the game down, you can give aggressive play callers, especially on the defense side, you can give them a lot of problems. You're slowing the game down. You're forcing guys to really slow down and make reads and read off guards and look at their keys. And you're taking 20 seconds between each snap to really slow down and make guys think you're giving small shifts here and there. You're moving the extra offensive lineman unbalanced. We're going to get all of that from Wisconsin. So I think when you look at this matchup, a lot of people really need to focus on the matchups in the trenches. If Wisconsin can withstand the depth of rotation from Alabama's defensive line, and Alabama can't be as effective rotating their offensive line like they want to do, those 6 or 7 offensive linemen that they want to get into the offensive flow and rotation, and we can't be effective in our balance as far as run game effectiveness and passing effectiveness, this could be a tight game going into the third or fourth quarter, and you would really have to rely on playmakers making bigger plays than what should happen, if you're not able to stay balanced. So I think the balance in this game comes from the trenches. Ryan, what's your thoughts on you guys' front, especially on the defense? I really think that's where you guys can make this a slower game defensively up front. You guys can really get some pressures on some of the things that I saw from our offensive line coming out of week 1 and week 2.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, that's a really good point. The Badgers' defensive front this year has been really good. So week 1, they had a time of possession of about 38 minutes because that defense forced Miami of Ohio to go 0 for 9 on third downs. So the defensive front for Wisconsin, they made a point this offseason to get bigger and deeper. There's 5 or 6 guys that are 300 plus. There's a lot of juniors, seniors. Really, 2 of the best players on the defense. Mason Reiger is going to be a defensive end. He is a pass rushing bag. He's going to play in the league. He had 4 pressures last week. Pro Football Focus grade of 90.2, led the defense, all Big Ten type guy. He's really good. 2 years ago, he was at Louisville, gave Miami issues, gave Notre Dame issues, had an injury-plagued season last year, went to the portal, came to Wisconsin. He's been a revelation. He's really good. Relentless pass rusher. And then at linebacker, they have a couple really nice inside linebackers that are physical. They'll come downhill. They're veteran players. And then they just have a bunch of 300, 315 pounders across that front. So the defensive line has felt really improved for Wisconsin. They've gotten pressure. They've gotten disruption. They've been able to play more downhill. And as everyone on this panel knows, like there's ball knowers on this panel.
Yeah.
You can dictate to the offense. You can put them in 2nd and 9. And then suddenly that play action game that Bam was really good at. Simpson is really good at that. That doesn't play in 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7. So that part of it, I think the Badgers feel good about going down to Bryant-Denny. On the other side is where Wisconsin has issues. On the other side, we talked about the trenches. The trenches are both sides. Wisconsin, before the season, lost their left tackle. Big loss for them. Before last week, they lost their center. And they shifted 4 guys around. So the right tackle went to left tackle. The guard flipped out to right tackle. 2 new guys made a start. They averaged 0.3 yards per carry in the first half against Middle Tennessee State. The Wisconsin offense line is not in a great spot right now. Right. Mostly due to injuries. They haven't been able to get push. For a couple games in a row, they've had issues with the running game, specifically the interior run game, and it's a major concern for the Badgers this week. We're not sure if our starting center will be back. If he is, that makes a massive difference to this team. If he's not, I don't know how the Badgers run the ball. And if you don't run the ball in Bryant-Denny, you don't win.
And I think that's where the key the key points will be, because Bama fans, we want to see Bama run the ball. We want to see be more effective in the run game, and we want to see the run game be stopped by the opponent. So this is going to be a test of identities right here. Coming into this matchup, when I first look at it, just the matchup in itself, and like we like to bring history into these matchups, but what we've seen from teams like Iowa State this year, the way that they're able to transition and turn on a switch and have a pass game going, and then get back to what we've seen them be over the past few years, and that's a strong, tough running team living with the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and putting you in the situations, those 3rd and 5s or 3rd and 3s where it's pass or run equal opportunity. Like I like to see those matchups like that for Bama's defense, just personally speaking, so that we can see what the play calling looks like in those situations. And I think, like you said, with you're not running out there with your true QB1. I think this is another opportunity for Bama's defensive play caller, Kane Womack, to really come into this game and focus on how do we attack? How do we become aggressive in our nature of play calling on a more consistent basis? That's where your success is going to be. Jeffrey, thoughts about where we're at concerning this matchup so far with the trenches. I think that's with the offensive line for the Badgers missing. What are some defensive linemen guys or guys on the defensive front of Alabama that could really take advantage of opportunities like this coming into this game?
James Smith. James Smith set the tone early in the game against UL Monroe, and Wisconsin is a better team than UL Monroe by far. But if Wisconsin's having a lot of offensive line issues, that means he's probably going to have a field day. I think that is very dangerous for Wisconsin if they cannot run the ball and they start getting behind and they have to throw every time. Then Danny O'Neal is going to be running for his life. And like you said, you don't want him getting hurt because he's having to run around. Because especially Wisconsin's had injury issues at quarterback recently. So it's not a good sign at all. Wisconsin's going to have to be able to run the ball. And if James Smith is eating it up and, Tim Keenan could be back, we don't know for sure if he's going to be back or not. But if he's back, that's going to make it even worse. I don't know. Wisconsin used to pride themselves on O-line play. That's the sad thing. They were so great at offensive line. They still have, you watch NFL games and they're rattling off Wisconsin offensive linemen. That's how great they were. They got to get back to that. I know we're looking from the Alabama perspective, but I want Fickle to succeed. I like the guy. I want him to succeed, but it's just not going well.
He's a cold dude.
A 2-0 start. And, maybe if they're competitive against Alabama, it will definitely look good. But you got to have the center for sure. As you mentioned, Ryan, definitely. You don't want to have a backup center for sure. But Alabama, our defensive line played very hungry, last week. And I think that those guys are going to be really hungry when they see a definite weak offensive line. Even if Tim Keenan is not in, I think we'll be fine because James Smith, like I said, I think will set the tone. But if they're both there, then it's going to be interesting to see if Wisconsin can hold up.
100%, man. Where in outside of this initial trench matchup, I think you have an opportunity to see a couple names rise for Alabama defensively. Nakai Hill-Green this week, I think, should be able to benefit from offensive line missing pieces. And we know that in this day and age, especially space eating type defenses, your offensive line, the climb from first level of the exchange at the first level in the trenches, climbing to the second level, you tend to be able to take advantage of that when you have teams that like to eat space or create close space pre-snap. So will Wisconsin be able to shield off and close gaps quick enough for guys like Nakai Hill-Green, who played very aggressive and played a solid A- type game against UL Monroe? And when I look at Wisconsin's offensive line right now, availability, the depth is going to be an issue that I do see being a problem for you all. Seeing what type of fronts that Alabama has placed out there these past 2 weeks, and we've seen two different dynamics from Alabama. I don't know, Ryan, if you've been able to watch some of the clips from Alabama, Florida State in last week's game, but you've seen two different dynamics as far as execution from this team. So Wisconsin really doesn't have a good idea of what to prepare for, in my mind, because you saw a totally different team, a totally different attitude. So schematically, I think their best game plan is slowing the game down and trying to get this down to as few possessions as possible. And like most teams used to try to do in Bama, but now you're talking about offensive-minded play caller in Kalen DeBoer. When it comes to the matchups in the coaching aspect, Luke Fickell, Kalen DeBoer, schematics, all of this, how do you see this playing out, Ryan? Philosophy-wise, from the outside looking in, what do you think Kalen DeBoer's approach would be to get Fickell off of his edge and get this game into a favorable situation for Alabama?
Yeah, I think for DeBoer, for Bama in general, it's a fast start. You want to put some pressure on Wisconsin and force them into a throwing mode. Wisconsin, it's interesting. So they brought a new offensive coordinator in this year, and Jeff Grimes came from Baylor, formerly at BYU, and a few other spots, Kansas as well. Came from Kansas, sorry, but formerly from Baylor and BYU as well. And I know, Jeffrey, you mentioned some of the reverse, some of the stretching the field laterally that Florida State did. That's a lot of what Jeff Grimes wants to do. So in some ways, he's able to scheme up a little bit to cover up for some of the offensive line deficiencies. They had a 61-yard reverse for a touchdown last week, a 30-something yard reverse for a touchdown. They like to put the tight end in motion, misdirection. They really try to play some games schematically with the eyes of the middle linebackers. Motion one way, misdirection the other. So I think that's going to be a big key, because I don't think they can just line up and smash Alabama in the face and just run the ball that way. So the misdirection, reverses, screen plays, and they had quite a bit of success doing that. And that's something Jeff Grimes has done a lot. So when you talk coaching matchup, I think they're going to try to play off some potential undisciplined play from the Bama defense. See if they can catch them overly aggressive, out of space, and then hit them with misdirection, reverses. I think that's going to be a key for the Badgers. Does Bama play disciplined, or do you see shades of what they did against Florida State? And I think if you do see shades of what they did against Florida State, if Wisconsin can stay in the game early, then listen, we've all seen enough ball. Crazy things happen if games can stay close.
Yep. And I think that's what I want.
I agree with that. I mean, that was my
Go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead, Coach. I was just saying that's what I was saying before the Florida State game, that we needed to get ahead early because we were on the road. You know, that was the recipe that we started out 7-0. I thought we were doing all right. But then after that, Florida State just completely took over the game and got their crowd in it, and they believed. And once you believe, you know, that you can win a game against a big time opponent, then, you know, you're in great shape. And that's the same thing with Wisconsin. If Wisconsin can come and punch us in the mouth, go up 10-0, 14-0, you got a shot. You always have a shot. You just have to get that early punch and then try to hold on to the lead. Or you never really want to hold on to the lead, though. You see so many teams just try to hold on. It's like at that point, just keep your foot on the gas. That's what's got you the lead, is playing aggressive, playing hard, and attacking those weak spots. And then you start getting conservative late, trying to just run the ball up the middle and just run the clock out. Like if Wisconsin gets ahead early and Danny O'Neal's cooking, just let them go. Like just keep doing it. But yeah, if you're Wisconsin, that's the recipe to win, is you got to start out ahead. And if you're Alabama, just do not let Wisconsin get ahead. Like strike first. You know, if I'm Alabama and you win the toss, go first. Just go up 7-0. Demoralize Wisconsin off the bat. That would be my strategy.
100%. Let's get into some key players. Ryan, offensively for Wisconsin, give me 3 names that you would say Bama fans or Bama Nation need to be aware of. Not necessarily say fear this name, but don't be surprised if you hear this name called making plays for the Badgers offense going into this weekend.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple here. And I mean, this is an incredibly tough game. When I say the Badgers need to get ahead, like I know that the deck is stacked against them heading down to Bryant-Denny. Like everybody you talk to that's connected to the Badgers, that's in the program, they understand how amazing of an opportunity it is to get down and play Alabama in Bryant-Denny. Like this is a marquee program that Badgers, you know, fans and players get to go and compete against. So it's going to be tough. But I think if you're looking at a couple guys, we mentioned Danny O'Neal. I'll just highlight him again because nothing happens on the road if the quarterback doesn't travel, if he doesn't play well. Bama fans are going to see somebody that's pretty feisty, kind of in the vein of Iowa State type quarterbacks, a little undersized, but tough, scrambles a little bit, moves the pocket, accurate, not a super strong arm though. So Bama has athletes. Are they going to close those gaps? Is he going to make some mistakes? He's still young, but Danny O'Neal's the guy to watch out for. Vinny Anthony is probably an NFL receiver. Wisconsin, you don't really think of receivers. Vinny's pretty good. Averaged 17 plus yards per catch last year. Fast, good after the catch, really good route runner. watch for Vinny Anthony. And then Lance Mason is the other guy I'd highlight on offense. Last week, 7 catches, 102 yards. Tight end that's really, really kind of a unicorn in this offense. They use him in motion. They use him as a lead blocker. They throw seam routes to him, wheel routes to him, out routes. They like to run drags to him. They'll run a middle tight end screen to him. They really like his versatility. And he's a guy you have to key in as an inside linebacker, free safety. So look for Daniel O'Neal, the quarterback, Vinny Anthony at receiver, and Lance Mason as a multi-purpose type of tight end.
100%. All right, Jackson, give me some names that you looking for Alabama offensively to really emerge as kind of key players in the success
I'm ready
of this
for
game.
Richard Young. I want to see some Richard Young. I'm ready to see him get rolling. I am ready for that. To hear him on the matchup against Wisconsin on Saturday. And I'm hoping to see more awesomeness from Jeremy Bernard, which I know that's going to happen. So that's another name I'm looking out for.
100%. He said Jeremy Bernard, and who was the first one? Richard Young. Jeff, names, man. Come on. Give me some breakdown, because to me, I think this is the game where I think Wisconsin might want to come out and slow the game down, but I think Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, and staff want to see a kind of a high-powered type hitting those target numbers again. That's been a big thing that's been talked about in the media with this staff on the offensive side, hitting those target number of big plays, getting those big numbers to pop in those 8 to 12 situations that you're going to have in the game, getting those big numbers to kind of show up there. So what names do you look for to kind of contribute to that going into this Wisconsin game?
Well, I mean, definitely what with Jackson saying Richard Young. Honestly, though, the whole running back room. I would like to see the entire running back room get involved, because clearly we're not running a singular back, main operation where the starting guy is getting 65, 70% of the carries and then everybody else. We're seeing Richard Young. We're seeing Daniel Hill. We're seeing Washington. We're seeing a lot of guys get involved. So I'm okay with all of them contributing and all of them getting yards and getting big numbers. That's fine with me. You would like to see, I guess, someone emerge in Jam Miller's absence. I still am a believer that when Jam Miller comes back healthy, that he's our guy and he's going to play more than the rest once he comes back, and if he's 100%. But as of now, we're running I don't even know a lottery machine at running back. It's just every down at someone else. So if someone stands out, great. But I just want the entire running back room against a quality opponent, especially at least for the D line anyway. Wisconsin's got good defensive linemen. Can we run the ball? Because we're going to see it in the SEC. You might as well get it now. You might as well get used to running the ball well now, because we did not establish that outside of Milroe once last season. Basically ever. Maybe the Missouri game. Maybe, but other than the Missouri game, and Missouri was in bad shape when we played them, we did not run the ball very well against any good opponent outside of Milroe running everywhere. You don't want that. We need to be able to establish the run. The entire running back room needs to get involved. For receiver, I would like to see anybody but Bernard have a big day. Horton, he was a highly rated guy transferring over, from Miami. He needs to step up more. I know he had a little injury early, and he did have some moments last week, but I would like to see Horton have a big day. Rico Scott, anybody but Bernard, because we know what Bernard is going to do. We know what Ryan Williams can do when he's in. But if you can get that third guy to really step up, really stand out, and you can build that trio of receivers, then, if Horton's not going to be that guy, then like I said, you can have any of our other guys, Cole Adams, Rico Scott, and Mbakwe, anybody else. But I would go with Horton. I would like to see him have a big day. So Isaiah Horton, and the whole running back room for me.
100%.
Here's the Tide. Let's go. Rico Scott.
And Caden Proctor. Be more consistent. Caden Proctor. That's our offensive line has been better so far, but he's been the worst graded offensive lineman. So more consistency from him.
I think I've been giving Caden Proctor the issue the past couple weeks. You said something about the receiving core, man. I honestly, truly believe that this past weekend, I know everybody wants to give Jeremy Bernard his love because he scored, but this receiving core is that hard to defend to where if you look at the distribution and the production, man, this is consistent as far as guys getting opportunities to make plays. I think right now there's such a balance in the offense as far as the play calling Now, we had a lot of drops week 1 against Florida State, but Alabama's receiving core should benefit this week from the same type of workload that they were issued this past weekend against ULM, especially if the run game is moving at a pace that the staff likes, and you're getting those early looks, walking those safeties, getting those safety to walk down into the box or to crash heavy on your play action. You're going to see similar type production where it's going to be limited explosive opportunities. You see that Ty Simpson went 17 for 17 in passing, and I think you only had a total of 4 incompletions between all 3 quarterbacks. So I think it was 36 passes thrown this game, and you're sitting there, you're looking at a clip where guys are actually catching the ball and taking advantage of their opportunity. So I don't see unless you have a defense that's going to be stubborn and continue to get beat in one mismatch. I don't think Fickle will let that happen with Wisconsin's defense. They'll play a lot of safe. So I look for names, like you said, I look for Rico Scott to be a big name this week. And Cole Adams working out of that Z in that slot position. Those guys being interchangeable at that spot. I think in the past games they're going to be effective. But let's talk about defense. Let's go to the defensive side. I kind of want to open the floor for Ryan to highlight some names on Wisconsin's defense. I think that's probably going to be their bread and butter and kind of what they kind of lean on to slow this game down. The defense to really be effective and to give their offense more chances to slow the game down is really going to start with their defense. Who are some names that we need to look forward to seeing as far as being the leaders of this group? I think your defense is actually dealing with a few injuries coming into this week too. So just give me some thoughts on where you see this defense showing up, looking like this upcoming weekend against Alabama.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And, I think one of the keys to this game, and I think you've hit on it, Coach, is Wisconsin's got to make Bama earn some stuff. Like, you can't give up the 40, 50-yard hits. Bernard is really dangerous after the catch. I think everybody knows that. Wisconsin's secondary is a pretty good tackling secondary. So it's going to be key. I think they're going to play some umbrella coverage. They're probably going to drop 3, drop 4, and they're going to try to tackle and keep everything in front of them and just make Alabama earn things, which didn't always happen last year in Madison. So that's a big key right there. We talked a little bit about Mason Reiger. He's the guy I mentioned on the defensive line that he's just relentless. He is a relentless motor. He's been at times unblockable this year against subpar competition, which is incredibly fair to point out. Wisconsin has not faced a Proctor. They have not faced a really good offensive line, but Mason Reiger has been really, really good. So look for him off the edge. He's a defensive lineman, number 22. He's got some TJ Watt, just type intangible motor stuff. He's not TJ Watt, but he plays like that. So watch for Mason Reiger. The best player on defense, if it's not Reiger, is Christian Allegro, number 0, middle linebacker. He can go sideline to sideline. He was a hybrid safety linebacker out of high school. So he has the ability to drop back, but he plays really violently, really good athlete. Allegro's that guy on the second level. And then if you're looking for a secondary guy, Rico Holman, 3-year starter at corner, really solid, good in zone, especially good in zone, understands tendencies. A couple years ago had 6 or 7 picks in a year. So kind of a ball hawk type of a guy. They have veterans at every level. They have a solid defensive line, a deep defensive line. They'll rotate 6, 7 guys out through that front 7. And they've been really disruptive this year. Sebastian Cheeks off one side, Mason Reiger off the other, Stout in the middle, Christian Allegro, the star in the middle. So I think they're going to be able to make it difficult at times for Alabama, but the key is going to be, can they hold up on the back 7? So look for Reiger, look for Allegro, look for Rico Holman. I think if the Wisconsin stays in this game, it's going to be because the defense mucks some stuff up for Ty Simpson.
100%. And if people aren't familiar with the name Ricardo Hallman, that's the big name that we were looking for in the portal. This past offseason, Alabama was really targeting this young man that was very much known between him and Cam Calhoun. There was a decisive initiative push to get these guys on this roster. Rico Hallman is one of those guys that can definitely come, and you might see Wisconsin put him in the slot situations depending on what personnel looks like. I think that's a matchup I'm looking forward to see when I look at this from the unbiased standpoint of it. Ricardo Hallman versus Jeremy Bernard, Ricardo Hallman versus Jalen Hill or a Ryan Williams if he's available this weekend. So I'm ready to see that matchup. When I look at Alabama's players to look for defensively, I look at names like, and I'm talking about our linebackers once again, Nakai Hill-Green. I look for him and Justin Jefferson, that duo and that pairing of the inside linebacker tandem. I look for that to be the more effective inside linebacker crew that's producing this game. Knowing that Wisconsin is going to pick their spots in the passing game, I think you got to go with your versatility with personnel in this game. And we're very limited in run support and passing when Deontay Lawson is on the field. And then also you got to factor in the fronts that we're putting out there too. So I like seeing Keon Keeley come off the edge this past weekend with his limited reps. Can we get more speed rush off of the edge without getting too light in the box and have guys like Nakai Hill-Green, Justin Jefferson, QB Reese, right? Get him a little bit more in this rotation. And we see those type of names start to emerge and impact plays, because I think that's who you're going to need to really depend on to set up the defensive efficiency for Alabama coming into this game. And then, like you said, on the back end, I think this will be one of the games where the eye discipline on the back end, not just seeing the play, but being in phase to make the play is going to be important for Alabama, because like we saw in week 1 against Florida State, guys getting, overextended, going with the play action or going with the fake handoffs instead of, having that eye discipline with finding and tracking the ball. And then also our leverage, having discipline to maintain the proper leverage when in pursuit of the ball, to force the play back inside when it's on the ground, or even in our pre-snap alignment in our leverage, making sure that in your 4 wide sets, your outside corners, if they're going to have inside leverage, let's bump them up so they can stay in phase, get in the pocket early so you can use the sideline as a defender. Those small things like that, I think, are going to be key for Alabama to have success early on in this game. And when you look at names like Ejon Lee, who's going to get a lot of reps, a true freshman, his physicality is going to be able to help this run support on the edge. Guys like Drake Kirkpatrick, when he's back in the game, Keon Sabb, the way that they played in the box this past weekend against Monroe, I think those are some key names that you're going to be listening out for coming into this game as far as being effective for Alabama's defense in this matchup. So come to a really good part in the show, man. Kind of like this is the end all be all right here. When you got to put it on wax. Well, let's get some predictions in, man. Jackson, you can lead it off, man. Give me your game mode and then your final score prediction, and give me your MVP of the game, Jackson.
Well, it's like I said, if you want to have a really good day, you got to have the running game rocking and rolling like you did last Saturday. And I think Alabama is going to win this one in a 38-17 fashion in Tuscaloosa on ABC.
Okay, on ABC. Jeffrey, give me your thoughts, man. What this game look like to you, and give me final score prediction.
This game's intriguing to me because we blew out Wisconsin last year, but again, it was unfortunate for the Badgers that they lost Tyler Van Dyke in the game when he did. I think the game could have been closer. I don't know how much closer, but when he got hurt, it completely changed the trajectory of the game. Now you've got Wisconsin with some momentum. Maybe, again, Danny O'Neil gives them a spark. They look better last week than they did week 1. So Wisconsin has some, energy right now, and maybe you would like for on their side, hey, get revenge on Alabama. You always have that regard, right? They always say. Problem is Bryant-Denny is a really tough place to play. And also when you look at where we've lost, we have not lost at home under DeBoer. We've been losing all our games on the road. We do not lose at home. So I think that our home crowd is going to be extremely difficult for Wisconsin. I mean, the thing is, the entire SEC, the bigger schools, the crowds are insane. They just are. And the Big Ten has great crowds too, but the SEC, the crowds are insane. And Wisconsin is a big enough opponent, is a big enough team that Alabama fans are going to show up for this game, and it's going to be an intense environment. I think Wisconsin's going to have a lot of issues with that. If this game was at Wisconsin, I'd be a little bit more worried right now, even though we won the way we did last year. If it was another road game, because of the fact that you have Alabama under DeBoer really struggling on the road. We have not done well on the road outside of a couple of rare instances. So I think the combination of us being at home, Wisconsin's O-line not probably going to be able to protect them well enough. And even though we have issues right now still with our team, we've got so many young guys, budding right now. They're getting better. They're improving. I think Wisconsin's going to play better than last year. I do think they'll play better, but I'm going to go with a 34-14 win for Alabama. I think Wisconsin will stay in the game for 2.5 quarters, and then Alabama will push it open in the last quarter and a half of the game and get a pretty comfortable win. But I do think Wisconsin, like I said, that will be a good performance, I think, especially if that pans out the way I think, where they hang for a bit. Because, I mean, a lot of people do give credit for that. I think Fickle would deserve credit if Wisconsin is able to hang around for a while.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it, Jeffrey. No doubt. And I will say, though, you got a 20-point win. I got a 21-point win. Like, that's pretty huge. I mean, as they say, great minds think alike. Coach, what is your prediction for Alabama?
I was gonna swing it to Ryan first, man. We got to hear the guests come in before I give my subtle take. Go ahead, Ryan, and give me your final score predictions, your final drive, and how this game looks. What do you see this prediction look? I mean, what do you see this game shaping out to be this weekend in T-Town?
Yeah, listen, this is a really tough one for the Badgers. As confident as I can be, and I saw someone in your chat talk about Kekahuna and Darian Dupree. Wisconsin does have some playmakers. Tretch Kekahuna is a guy who had a 61-yard touchdown off reverse last week. Wisconsin can do some things offensively. The offensive system looks a lot better than it did last year. Phil Longo just was not a fit in Wisconsin for whatever reason. The air raid did not work there. They've gone back to more of a running system, misdirection. I think there's some things they can do there. I tend to think the worst thing that happened to Wisconsin is Bama losing to FSU. I really think if Bama had taken care of business there, like a lot of people thought they would, then they whip Monroe. Maybe they overlook Wisconsin a little bit, but you already kind of had your one bad performance of the year. I think they're probably going to be a little more locked in because of that. I think that's not a good thing for Wisconsin. And the offensive line has just had issues. Like if you told me our starting center was healthy, and I knew he was, which I don't think he's going to be, I feel better about it. But as banged up as the line has been, I worry about the front seven from Bama. I worry about the crowd noise. There were snap issues last week at home with the backup center. So I think Bama takes this. They wear Wisconsin out. Too much pressure on Danny O'Neal. He probably forces them into a couple interceptions, which then sets Bama up for short fields. Give me like 34-13, somewhere in there. I think it's maybe closer in the first half. I just don't like the way Wisconsin's offensive line is played. I will caveat it with one thing, though. If the center is back in there, has been I did get a kind of a message that, hey, he could have played last week. It does make Wisconsin a lot better on the interior. I think they can run the ball a little bit more. If he's healthy, I think it's closer, more like 34-20.
Okay. I like that. Looking at the production in the last 2 weeks, one thing, regardless of who the center was, you had similar production. Regardless of who the opponent was, you had the same type of production. In your run game, both in your run and your pass game. Like you said, them going back to a more traditional, balanced style of play calling offensively, I think kind of makes this game a little bit more different, and it keeps it a lot more balanced for Wisconsin. My thing with Alabama is if this team can carry over momentum offensively with the run game and get explosives in the run game early, this is not going to be a 34-point game. This is the offense. If you allow Ryan Grubb to get a run game going early, he's averaged over 42 points a game. So and that's run game 150 yards plus as far as total yards gain. He's averaging 40 plus points in those games. So I don't know if Wisconsin has the depth on the defensive side to withstand the type of carries and the amount of pin and pull that we're going to throw that we've seen thrown out the past week for Alabama's offensive front. I don't see it being a problem. Can Wisconsin play aggressive up front with the lack of depth on the defensive side? I don't think so. So that'll force you all to kind of play safe early on and kind of contain things. That's what I believe we're going to see. And if that doesn't work out for Wisconsin, this could turn out ugly real early. Do I see it turning out ugly? I don't consider 42-13 ugly when it's a late breakaway. When it's like a closing out the second quarter going into halftime, Alabama 21, Wisconsin 9, something like that, you know, with Alabama capitalizing on 3 out of maybe 6 possessions. Because I truly do believe Wisconsin to have an opportunity to slow the game down. We'll see if Alabama's defense has stiffened up as far as their run support or run defense, making tackles, getting off the field on third down. If Wisconsin can extend drives, you know, maybe not get points, but extend drives, this game could seem closer than what it is going into the half. And so I'm gonna go with my final score. I'm gonna say 42-13 Alabama. After putting up 79 points, I don't think this offense slows down much for the next few weeks to come. They showed some things on film, especially in the sliding and the protections, man, on the pass pro from week 1 to week 2, that I think is going to have a lot of defensive coordinators scratching their head, especially with the personnel that they did it with as far as the offensive line rotation. So those are things that we'll dive into as far as our film study going later into the week. But I think right now, like you said, just the mismatch in talent, the mentality that's coming behind the programs, you're going to see a game like you should expect from Alabama. But if somehow or another this Wisconsin team comes out and dials up a few plays early and kind of punches Alabama in the mouth, we've seen this team struggle to regain momentum and take over. So don't count out Wisconsin. We've seen them make plays in week 1 and week 2. They, although it be Middle Tennessee State, and I forget who the other opponent was, Miami, Ohio. Yeah, the first week. So that's still competition. That's still players putting on their shoes, lacing up their cleats, and getting out on the field. And you have to execute against an opponent. So no disrespect there, but I do think this is kind of an overmatched situation coming into week 3. Now, if this was week 9, muster something up, put something together based off your identity. Stop us if you can, but this is week 3. Still answer some questions from both sides. I think we have less questions to answer. Give us the advantage. Alabama for the big win. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll.
Yes, sir. But with that being said, y'all, hey, Ryan, appreciate you for coming on, man. We definitely enjoyed your presence, man. Give us some thoughts.
We appreciate it.
For the rest of your season, though. I do want to hear something before you get out of here, man. What was your projections for your Wisconsin Badgers coming into this season, overall record, and what type of season we looking for to expect from Wisconsin? In your mind.
No, seriously appreciate you guys letting me come on and hang with you guys for a little bit and chill. Always fun to talk football with good people. So I appreciate that for sure. I had a 7-5 year. I think it's a step in the right direction. People got to remember, this is a Wisconsin team that won 5 games last year. They have to play Bama. They play Ohio State. They play Oregon. They play Michigan. They play Iowa. It's a really tough schedule. So 7 wins with that schedule, I think, shows progress. And if you show progress, then you can build on progress. You can build on recruiting momentum. And I think Daniel O'Neal, if he plays well this year, he's a young player. He could be your quarterback for a couple of years. And then you start to establish some identity at the quarterback spot. So 7 wins, momentum going into next year when the schedule lightens up a little bit. But like I said, definitely excited to see the game this weekend. And I know there's a lot of Badger fans that are stoked to get down to Bryant-Denny and understand how special that place is.
100%. Make sure y'all go check out our guy, Ryan Herring, at Ryan Herring. Locked On Badgers rocking with us, man, for tonight, man. Y'all give it up for him tonight, man. Appreciate you for coming in, Ryan. Hey, listen, we might have to get you on the post-game show, man. I've been ripping and running all week, trying to maintain coverage last week. Now we got a little system set up, so maybe we can get you on the post-game show, man, and probably get you over there on the Coach Smook Network for the post-game calling show, man. Get your unfiltered thoughts on the phone line.
Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully that's a fun one to talk about from a Badger standpoint.
Hey, you know what? Apparently, Badgers know how to take a loss. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my trash talk segment. Badgers know how to take a loss. You know, they used to taking it.
Well, listen, Badgers drink though. So post game, we're gonna be lubed up, win or loss either way. It is a good fan base. It's a good group of people, which I think is why we vibe with Alabama folks, right? I used to live in Georgia for a bit. Southern folks are a lot like Wisconsin folks. They really are. They're good people, chill, take their time. They're nice to folks. They like to drink, eat out, watch football.
Yeah. Y'all love some food. Y'all love some good food. I have heard about a lot of restaurants, like hole in the wall type restaurants in Wisconsin. So I wanted to make that trip last year, but it was in transition, man. But I definitely, my dream as at age 40 to get a RV camper, man, and just travel and hit all the nice, hole in the wall restaurants throughout all 48 states, that's continental states, and just eat and get fat over the 3-month time span if I can. That's what I'm gonna do when I turn 40. Y'all will be seeing it on YouTube.
Hit me up when you go to Wisconsin. I will take you to the best places. And we will have a hell of a time.
I'll tell you, I can't wait to get around that environment, man. Jeffrey, let everybody know where they can find you at, man, before we get out of here. It's been a great show, y'all. I like the ride.
Oh, I appreciate it. Absolutely. Definitely go check me out on my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports, if you haven't already. I'm going to be doing tons of streams during this football season. I already have my thoughts on week 2. I'm going to be doing my predictions soon on for week 3 with Will and D. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely appreciate if you check that out. Also follow me on X as well at Only Talk Sports. I'm always commenting on what's going on around the sports world, stuff I can't get to on my YouTube channel. Can't cover everything. There's just too much going on, but definitely I get my thoughts over there. But also subscribe to Alabama at the Voice of College Football. We're getting close to 3,000 subscribers. Can't do without you guys. We appreciate all the support. And also, again, give a follow to Ron Herrings as well on Locked On Badgers. He's doing great stuff over there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There you go. Tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Jeffrey is creating on Only Talk Sports, where he talks sports every single day, or at least he tries to, especially when he has to answer questions like, is Mississippi State the new Indiana? Are they? Does he believe so? Tune in on Only Talk Sports to find out. Coach, what have you got going on in your world this week?
Hey, listen, it ain't my world. I'm just living in it, man. It's y'all world. I'm just living in it. But if y'all could, man, go make sure y'all follow your boy at Coach Smook on all platforms. At Coach Smook on all platforms. As you all know, we've been hitting it the ground running since we've been back. The call-in shows have been crazy with the numbers and all the support that we've been getting. We're growing on our way to 4K subscribers over there on the Coach Smook Network. And I appreciate each and every one of you all for supporting. But don't forget, y'all, the main content here at Alabama at the Voice of College Football. Make sure y'all subscribe to our channel over here, man. We're pushing towards our goals. We're continuing to build this team, build this network. And the Voice of College Football network as a whole is taking a turn for the better. And I'm glad that we're a part of this growing situation, this growing team. So y'all continue to support as always, man. And y'all know what to do when y'all see me in the streets, man. Holler at me and say, put me in the game, Coach Smook. And like I said, after this show, we'll be going live 8 p.m. Central Standard Time with our call-in show with post-game reactions for all of college football, not just Bama Nation, but for all of college football. Once again, that's at Coach Smook on our platforms, all your major social media platforms. Y'all hit your boy with the follow. I appreciate you. Jackson, it's on you, brother.
There we go. Well, I've got some upcoming shows of my own, including the Pits Analysis Show with Sports Talk with Austin for week 3 and Final Whistle, of course. And I've got another Jacksonian episode coming up with Mountaineer Paul of Locked On West Virginia, as we'll be previewing the Backyard Brawl, the West Virginia Mountaineers, and talking a little bit about our take on the second stint of the Ridge Rod era. And for more updates on what I've got going on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, the Jacksonian, and the once-a-week calls on the Fine Bomb Show, where the weekends are full of surprises, check me out on JacksonVOCFB, on @/Twitter, and on Instagram and Threads at JacksonJohnson543908.
100%. I'm sorry, y'all. I was drinking water. I didn't want to be on the screen with a big old mouthful of water. Sorry. But I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Make sure y'all continue to run the likes up in the chat, man, on all platforms. I think we ended up with how many? Let's see. I know we got to show our people some love. Appreciate all the likes over here on the YouTube side, on the Alabama Voice of College Football side. Thank you for all. We had 29, 30 likes on the Coach Smook Network side. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, man, and tapping that screen. Everybody continue to support all the platforms represented here on this panel. And with that being said, we're not going to do a roll tide because we got a Badger. We're not going to do them like that. We ain't going to do you like that, man. We got love for you. Just have a blessed night, everyone. Roll tide to our Bama family. And what Badgers be saying?
Oh, you're muted, Ryan.
My bad. We say on Wisconsin.
on Wisconsin. Hey, I'm telling you. Hey, you know what? Before we get out of here, that's the funny thing. So there was a family when I went to the second scrimmage. This was a few weeks ago, and then we're gonna get out of here. But it was a family. They're Wisconsin Badgers fans. Their son just enrolled at the University of Alabama for his first semester, and they were so happy to finally be in Tuscaloosa on campus. Like they were moving their son in. And they were walking around, with their Alabama t-shirts on and all this other stuff, And it was like, we might be roll tide. We might be roll tide. It's contagious, man. So I don't know. You might want to be careful hanging around over here on this Bama side, too much. You know what I'm saying?
I've got too much invested in a Badger fan, man. They're gonna get to that next level at some point, and when they do, because like Bama, you guys have had it incredible. The run that Saban put together, and all respect, right? You guys have been at the top of the food chain. It's different living in the middle of the food chain, and we're gonna fight our way up. And when we get there, it's gonna be amazing.
It is. And I laugh because a lot of Bama fans, I don't think Jackson and Jeffrey are really old enough to know what Bama went through in the early 90s and the real early 2000s, losing to Auburn 6 times in a row. Like, that was the worst time of my Bama fandom. I came back to the States in 96, so being in the middle of the pack. I've never been in the middle of the pack for a long time, but I've been there.
Well, I mean, Jeffrey and I have studied like the history of Alabama football, and it was like the late 90s, they were terrible. And
studying and living it is two different things.
Matter of fact, because I remember the 06 season vividly. That was terrible. Like the 04 season, I remember we played Minnesota in the Music City Bowl. They beat us that year.
Beat the brakes off us. The brakes off us.
03 and 01. 02, Franchione leaving our butts for A&M, but oh well, he dealt with some karma.
Yeah, good for him. Well, y'all, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. And once again, this is Alabama, the voice of college football, with our special guest Ryan Herring popping in today. Thank y'all for supporting supporting the network and the content. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be blessed.
Roll Tide and on Wisconsin.